Are you searching for the perfect love? You can't purchase it, you perfect love. Don't be searching for the perfect love unless the lane you searching for someone inside yourself.
Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast. I'm your host, your music midwife and nerdy hip hop homegirl, Coco Peila. I'm an MC, singer, songwriter, record producer, and the MC is the part that qualifies me to take you on this journey. First of all, my next guest, I'm sorry to be so goofy, but she actually put me up on game that today is actually International Black Women's History Month. The first day, April, is International Black Women's History Month. So first and foremost, happy International Black Women's History Month. You know, Black people around the world gonna keep it going all year long, every month. We got something for y'all. Y'all not ready. But y'all know that the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast exists to celebrate the genius, labor, legacy, creativity, contributions of women in this culture that we call hip hop. So today I have the honor of sitting with a woman who uses her turntables and gifts as a weapon against oppression for the liberation of all people. She is actually the international people's DJ from the Bronx who boldly creates passion and joy through movement. Y'all are ready for this intro. She has an outstanding number of experiences in her artistry as a DJ, from DJing at many events around the world, which I can't wait to get into, which is also part of why we're so excited to have her on the first day of International Black Women's History Month. From becoming the U.S. Cultural Ambassador of Hip Hop in Ireland to creating a program called Girls DJ 2, which provides access to DJ workshops for girls, women, and non-binary folks in the Bronx. She has a degree, she has a degree in urban studies and a master's in social work. She brings her passion to the NYC nightlife scene, and she also works with OutSmartNYC, which they have a mission of ending sexual violence in nightlife spaces. And there she works as a Health Equity Nightlife Liaison, which I'm sure y'all know is like so dope as a DJ who has vast expertise in this area. I could go on, but really this podcast isn't about me today. It is about welcome the fly, the ferocious, the lion-hearted, the oh-so skilled, talented, and gifted DJ Kaykay47, like AK-47, act like you know. Welcome.
First off, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on this show. I know we've been trying to link up for a minute, but we finally here.
Yes.
And I love this for us, and I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm so excited. I feel like those that are watching this podcast episode, they got to be on the edge of their seat. I hope y'all sneaking this during work hours. No, I'm kidding. You are in for such a treat. I absolutely adore, respect, and love this woman right here, and we're really blessed to have her. So let's get into it. Kay, before we get started, I almost want to be like, is there anything else you want to, but I have so many questions for you. I'm going to be selfish. So, I just really wanted to start with where did this all start for you? When I say this, I'm just curious about your relationship with hip hop, especially as a Black woman who was once a Black girl born and raised in the Bronx. And I'll pause. Where did this start for you?
Thank you. So, funny enough, right? So, I've been DJing for 12 years. And, of course, for me, at that time, I never thought I would be, continuing to do it. I just wanted to learn. And I'll definitely get back to that story. But the beginning, at least to me, I was about 2 or 3 years old when I was nonverbal. And by that is I wasn't like speaking at like the typical age that you're like supposed to like talk and stuff. And my sister, funny enough, I found this story out maybe like months ago. My sister told me that when I was 3 or 4 years old, there was a Missy song that came on, and she heard me like singing to it, and she was like shocked because she's like, I don't usually hear Karen, that's my real name. She was like, I don't usually hear Karen, singing or talking. So when she saw that, she was like really excited. She was like, oh my gosh. And if you were wondering which exact song it was by Missy.
I was.
Because Missy definitely played a huge role in my upbringing, now that I think about it. And I'm truly grateful for that. But one of the songs was Super Duper Fly. So it was that one. It was Stilo by 702.
Yes.
That one I found out more recently. Because I would always hear about Missy and how she played a role in like me talking and stuff like that. And speaking. I've always had to go to speech therapy when I was in school for like speech therapy and stuff like that. Getting certain resources. I was also in special education for like 2 or 3 years. And I don't know if you know much about the New York City education system, but at the time, they introduced this like mainstream program in which they were trying to have students who would usually be in like a special education course. They would like put them or place a student like myself at the time in a regular education class. And the whole point of, I guess, migrating students or like blending students together was so folks could like get that experience of like learning from each other. Of course, it's the New York City education system. At least for me, it didn't really pan out too well because I had teachers who didn't really understand like me and like my learning style. And they were only taught like a particular learning style to teach like students in New York City. And so because of that, I had a lot of different challenges, even when I was getting like taken out for not special education, for like speech therapy. Some teachers, they wouldn't understand why. They're like, oh, but she talks perfectly. They didn't know that I was going through like a comprehension thing. So like I could be like reading an amazing book, right? And I'm like, wow, this is great. And then say if you came up to me, right? You're like, hey, Kay, what's this book about? My memory, gone.
Right.
I used to go through that a lot. And unfortunately, I was punished by a teacher because she actually thought I didn't do my homework. And she made me stand up in the class. For context purpose, if anybody's listening, she's Jamaican.
That very...
She made me stand up in the back of the class. That was the punishment if you didn't do the homework, if you didn't pay attention. It was like a lot of, it was interesting with that experience. So long story short, to go back into how this even started in the first place, I feel like a lot of my personal experiences kind of like paved the way to like who I am now. And I didn't even realize like that I was planting that seed. I didn't realize that a lot of the things that I do even to this day, I was doing as a kid. Like I probably wouldn't have called it community organizing as a kid, but thinking about like outreaching, right? As simple as like selling candy for graduation to like raise money, right? That's fundraising. That's your
right.
earliest stage of fundraising. You're like, hey, can you buy this chocolate bar for $1? I need this dollar to go towards my graduation dues, or I need this to go towards, sneakers, or depending on what it is that you need to raise the money for. That I would also say, like, even, growing up near 1520 Cedric, right? I grew up like a couple of blocks from there. Growing up like in my area, like I didn't really know about the history of hip hop like that. Like I kind of knew like little things here and there, but I didn't really know about that story of like, wow, like the hip hop back to school party like started in a building that's blocks away from where I grew up at, right? Thinking about the park jams. I used to go to Cedar Park when I was a kid, right? But not knowing like, wow, like there was actual history here, right? A whole movement started in my borough, right? And also knowing that my area wasn't the only part of the Bronx that paved the way to like, starting like this big movement and stuff. But I do, shout out, for instance, like Kool Herc. I also shout out Cindy Campbell, and everybody else who like, paved the way for us in hip hop, and especially women. in hip hop. And let me know if I even answered the question. Sometimes I know myself, I would say certain things and just
the thing that is so amazing about that is number one, we are people of the African diaspora. We are women of the African diaspora. We are first oral, spoken word people, and there's a beautiful thousands and thousands and thousands of year old, deep, ancient, rich, intelligent technology to how we get down when it comes to just chopping it up. And so, because of all the things that we know, white supremacy, sexism, anti-Black racism, classism, capitalism, all the different isms that we've experienced through the course of either being on our land and being colonized or being stolen and trafficked. We always second guess ourselves oh, you're asking me, oh, well, did I answer? I'm like, girl, not only did you answer, you perfectly segued to so, we get to trust our minds, and your mind is so good. And I think it's beautiful. This is, there's a magic that we get to trust about how the conversation unfolds. It's perfect, which you perfectly segued. The next question that's sitting here in front of me is, what lineage do you come from in hip hop as a DJ? And so, talking about growing up just a couple blocks from 1520 Sedgwick and all of that, I feel like I'm not going to go too long on this, but I feel like in the beginning when I first started rhyming, I would get confused because I would be like, oh, I don't fit in with this group or that. And then eventually I was like, but you come from this lineage, so it's okay. It's kind of like when you start recognizing, oh, I'm a mango tree. I'm not supposed to create limes. The fruit that comes from me is mango. And there's a bunch of mango trees before me that offered mango or whatever. You could be anyway. So I'm curious if you feel like you resonate with a particular lineage and it could be as a DJ, but also you already spoke on some folks, but.
No, thank you for naming that, by the way, in terms of the mango on the tree. I'm just wow, that's a really great way to put it. In terms of lineage, right? Because when I heard that at first, I was thinking how some people, like you said, are related to somebody,
right?
And so it's kind of they had that connection of getting into doing things, etc. So for me, and it's not to say that I don't have famous people in the family, but. And who knows, because, look, there's still family members that I still get to meet out here. I think that I am the only woman DJ in the family. I think I'm the only DJ, but I'm going to just say for now, I think I'm the only DJ who identifies as a woman. I'll say that. Because you know what? We got to stop saying women DJ, this DJ. It's no, I'm a DJ. And I just happen to identify as a woman. So I'm catching myself there, too.
Yes. So tell me, okay, so within your actual blood family, and then do you feel like there are particular DJs, female DJs who came before you that's where you're oh yeah, she laid this foundation, she sewed this part of it, now I'm picking up the needle and the thread and I'm sewing this part of it. Are there any DJs that came before you? And it actually doesn't have to just be DJs. It could be any element or aspect within the culture and the community. You feel like you're standing on anyone's shoulders or walking in the footsteps, following the path.
Yeah.
Carrying it forward.
So sort of like a mentor, but.
Okay, I'll put it like this. And I hope it doesn't come out crazy.
Nope. Go ahead.
So when I was younger, especially coming up on the Bay Area hip hop scene, right? And I'm all I want to rap about is like Black women and girls liberation, women and girls liberation, Black liberation. And if you put me in like, especially I came of age as a teenager during the early aughts for us in the Bay Area, that was the hyphy movement. So imagine like you're in a function and everybody's going dumb and they're turned up on off that part of the culture, which I love. I'm not knocking it, but I would stand out like a sore thumb, like my little afro, like no makeup, kind of like you know, doing my little raps about. Yes. So, and people would be like, you know. Yes. So, but then once some of my partners put me up on different music that I hadn't heard before, or I would remember, oh yeah, my first album was The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Oh, I'm not the first Black woman that wanted to talk about spirituality and relationships and empowerment and Black people's liberation. Like, so then it made me be like, oh, okay, I'm cut from this cloth. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the lineage that I'm walking in when I think about like Queen Latifah and these other folks. Then I'm like, okay, you know, this is what I'm carrying forward. Anyway, so I was just curious if there are folks before you.
No, thank you for clarifying that. So a couple of things that came to mind when you were asking me that. One, right? It also made me realize that majority of folks who did like pave the way for me or like at least had some sort of influence, unfortunately, was mostly men, right? Like even from the person who taught me how to DJ, a male figure, right?
Yeah.
Which shout out to him because I appreciate the fact that like when we were learning, unfortunately, when I work with men in this field, not every man, of course, but I do experience some sort of sexism. I do experience some sort of misogyny. I experience some sort of somebody trying to flirt, somebody trying to do XYZ. What I appreciate about the guy who taught me was that there was no energy whatsoever of that. I was learning in his house.
Wow.
And he made sure that he had boundaries. And so, you know, even to this day, you know, I appreciate the fact that he's like, okay, I'm your DJ instructor. And that was the energy that I love to like, you know, be around. It's like, okay, I feel safe.
Yes.
I don't feel like, okay, I got to sit here and, you know, sit a certain way, dress a certain way, do all this stuff. It was like, no, like he made sure that I was comfortable and like, you know, I learned. I was scared to even put my hand on the turntable. Yeah. When I was learning how to DJ, I was learning at the time, there used to be this program called Scratch Live, which is connected to Serato. Now it's Serato DJ Pro or stuff like that. So I was learning with the control vinyl, which is basically vinyl, right? So let's just use this for now. But
hold it up to the camera so they can see what's popping.
I don't know if y'all can see that from here.
Y'all know that's a purse. I just need y'all to know that she's so fly.
Yeah, the other side is like that too. It's looking like a vinyl for real.
Right, exactly.
I'll tell you that much. Got the little crack, you know, my apologies. But a good friend of mine, a good Aquarian friend of mine, she had bought me this for my birthday. And shout out to her too. But this side has Stevie Wonder and this side had KRS-One.
Yes.
Which is interesting because talking about the Bronx, right?
Right.
And talking about my music lineage, right? So going back to that, you know, my dad, he had a lot of records in his house. He is a baby boomer. My mom is also a baby boomer, but she's more like in the later years in the generation. And so I was always surrounded by not just hip hop, but I was surrounded by disco, funk, anything that was playing on 98.7 Kiss FM at the time, WBLS at the time when they both radio stations weren't, I guess, collaborating with each other. My dad and my mom, you know, we used to drive to Harlem all the time, go visit my grandmothers, my great grandmother and my grandmother on my dad's side. And so even those mornings, you know, we would drive over there and I would always hear Stevie Wonder playing. He loves Earth, Wind & Fire. So I knew about Earth, Wind & Fire very early. I love Whitney Houston. I know I'm naming all these people that's not quote unquote hip hop, but at the end of the day, there's also a huge connection.
Yes.
To, you know, the game and to the movement, right? And looking at a lot of, you know, music, right? learning about a lot of music growing up in the household where I'm the baby, right, of 6. So I'm listening to, again, right, hip hop, funk, disco. I'm also listening to different forms of hip hop in the house, right? My oldest brother, right, he always listened to underground hip hop. I learned about KRS-One through him. I learned about a lot of underground hip hop folks through him, right? My sister, my older sister, she loves Wu-Tang.
Yes.
I was listening to Wu-Tang, gangster rap. One of my brothers, Dipset, right? So it's
Yes.
like everybody, every sibling has their own thing. My other sister, R&B. She loved like the groups like 112, right? SWV, who else? Escape, Total. The list goes on.
Yes.
And we also listen to Lil' Kim. We also listen to Lauryn Hill, Queen Latifah. And so for me, it's kind of hard, right? Because usually when I'm in spaces where people find I'm a DJ, they assume that I play a particular music off of my vibe.
Yes.
And off of like whatever I'm wearing at that day. One time I was wearing like a little tank top with some pattern pants. I have a homeboy who calls them dashiki pants.
I cannot. I will
I'm
not.
pretty sure he's gonna be looking at this soon and like laughing too.
What's up, y'all? I just wanted to make sure to invite you to collect the print. As you know, we have a limited edition 12 by 12 high quality print. And this is a collaboration with an amazing Black female artist named China Brown who designed this. You can frame it, you can put it up in your office, you can put it up in your home, you can gift it to somebody. On the back is a wonderful QR code that you can scan and it downloads the Love Me All acoustic, which is not going to be on my studio album. It's not on any of the streaming platforms. It's like a special, very limited release. And just for the month of February, I'm actually going to include a QR code so that you can also download Perfect Love, which up until now has only been available with the capsule pre-orders. So just for the month of February, y'all gonna get 2 songs with this. If you wanna know more about it, you wanna order a pack with all the dope ass colors, or you just wanna get a single, you can go to cocopeila.com/the-print. This is for every Black woman that gave the culture everything and got crumbs in return. We are investing in building a different system that really honors our art, our songs, our visual art, our contributions, our analysis as fine art. And I'm so excited to have y'all. So go snatch this shit up before it goes, because it's not going to be here for long. And yeah, thank you.
But, a lot of people know me for wearing like pattern pants, which funny enough today, everything is solid. But
But you got the pattern hat though.
right, which is definitely different. This is new too. I usually wear sometimes like caps or like other types of stuff, or sometimes a little head wrap,
Yes.
or sometimes my hair's just out. But I'm so sorry. Where I was getting at with that.
You were saying that people assume that you spin a certain way based on your vibe.
Yeah.
And you also said that you was scared to touch the vinyl the first time, wherever you want to take it.
Mm-hmm. So we definitely gonna get to that part too. So, one time I was dressed like, pattern pants, little tank top shirts in the summer, and this one person automatically assumed that I only listen to like Sexy Red, that I only listen to like Glorilla, which is funny because I do listen to those
Correct.
artists. And I think some people also expect me to only listen to Lauryn Hill, to Queen Latifah, to Missy,
De La Soul.
De La Soul, like all of these people. And I'm like, look, for me, I love it all.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it, but I love it all.
Yes.
I'm like, look, give me a little day where I get to like dance to some Sexy Red or to some Glorilla. I love myself some Cardi B.
Yes.
And give me another day where I'm like, look, I want to listen to Queen Latifah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm always playing Unity in my sets. I'm always going to make sure Unity is there. I'm always going to make sure Lost Ones is there.
Yes.
Like certain particular classics, I'm always going to make sure like, people are going to get this work.
Yes.
Even if it's in a club, even if it's in a, you know, a place where people are like, what's that? I'm like, no, we gonna listen to some Queen Latifah. Y'all gonna know what Unity is.
That's
you know?
right.
And then sometimes I gotta ask because, you know, certain gigs are either, you know, I have to play like clean music. So you know how when she be like, who you calling a bitch? It's like, okay, I ask because I want to make sure. But sometimes I'm also like, you know what? Like the song to me was purposely meant for those words to be heard. And even a lot of the songs, right? Even with the songs of profanity and stuff like that, I get it. But I'm also like, sometimes, you know, if I'm with the kids and stuff, even having that conversation, right, around the term bitch, right? You know, how are we using it? Who is it used towards? You know, what does that mean? What are like other terms that we use nowadays, right? Some people say pause, right? I'm not gonna lie, I say pause jokingly because my head is usually in the gutter just for jokes. But obviously, I don't think, you know, people should be weirded out by if you're eating like a hot dog or something. Like, I think it is weird, honestly.
To say pause.
You know, yeah. But I jokingly be like, pause, or that's what they said, that's what she said, that's what he said, you know, just jokingly of stuff. But to go back into, because I know you did ask me a little bit about, or at least I felt like you wanted me to talk a little bit about the...
Only if you want to share about, like, you know, I have 7,000 questions for you. There's no way we're going to get to all of them today, so we have to have you back another time. But if you want to share anything else, because you were in the middle of saying when you were first learning how to DJ, you were actually scared to put your hands on a vinyl.
Right. So how I even got into the DJing piece in the first place, right? So I gave you a little bit of history about the upbringing.
Yes.
All that stuff is very important because it does lead into when I was in high school. I went to this high school. The school in total was called, and as a whole, right? Because in New York, they always break down like the schools into like 3 or 4, into like campuses. So it was called South Bronx High School. Ironic, right? And apparently Fat Joe used to go there years ago. Romeo from Aventura, he used to go there, stuff like that. And when I was a junior at the school, high school junior, we were having a high school party. And I remember my high school English teacher, Mr. Lamb, shout out to him. He was like, oh, the funds are going to go towards Kool Herc. He's the father of hip hop. He's sick right now. I think he was going through a surgery or something at the time. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he was sick at the moment. And obviously he's doing better and stuff like that, at least from what I hear. And so, you know, just not to be ignorant, you know, high school me was like, I just want to go to these high school parties, right? Not knowing who Kool Herc is, we just wanted the party. So we had the $2-3 or whatever that they charged us at the door. We paid it anyway. And the good thing is we at least raised money to go towards Kool Herc. Hopefully I get to tell them that story one day.
You will.
So then fast forward, senior year of high school. I was always the type who wanted to get into things because like growing up in my area, we didn't really have like music classes. I remember like the only thing we had was a recorder. That's usually what they give folks. And then by the time I got to the middle school that I went to, the music teacher then left, but we had art. And so a lot of the, you know, so for me, I wasn't really around like DJing and stuff because I didn't really have like the tools and stuff at the time. Go back to 12th grade, right? This is 2011, 2012. I meet the Rebel DS Arts Collective, right? And, you know, I'm meeting like these people. I'm like, okay, like they rap, they sing. I was like, wow, you know, there's DJs. I didn't know like all of these things were still a thing. I was thinking like with my ignorant mind as a kid,
You weren't
like,
ignorant.
oh, graffiti and stuff, that's from years ago. And so when I like walked into the space, I'm like, oh, there's graffiti on the walls.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, people rapping. I actually know somebody who raps. Like, this is amazing. Like, it was very ignorant of me to think. But at the same time, you know, when it comes to access,
I don't know if it was ignorant or you were just integrating something that's already around you.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like we can't talk about young KK like that.
Nah, that's real. But I'm also talking about myself in terms of like acknowledging and like, you know, being accountable, right? Because, you know, we all make mistakes as human beings and I'm learning how to be like, you know what? That was me a long time ago. This is me now.
Yeah.
And also learning how like those mistakes definitely became part of my character development. Because when I make certain mistakes, I'm like, you know what? Wait a minute. That don't got to be me no more. I could work on that. And I want to like, push myself to like, put in effort to, for me becoming my best self every day.
Yeah.
And that might look different for me. That might look different for you, right? In terms of what that means. But I know for me, like, it's still a journey. I'm still, figuring it out. And that's what I really appreciate about that a lot. But yeah, when I started with the Rebel DS Arts Collective, there was mostly men. I was the only girl student. Like,
and how old were you?
I was 18. Because the program that we had for the after school program, but it wasn't their fault. It was more like thinking about when you see an application for a hip hop class, right? I'm going to be honest, as a girl, growing up as a girl and stuff, a lot of my friends who also identified as girls or young women, they weren't into that stuff.
Yeah.
It was mostly like boys
Yes.
being interested and wanting to join. So it really showed in the results. They were like, oh, you're the only girl student. And so I was around all these boys and I'm like, okay, now I have to stand out because, I'm here around all these boys. Like,
yes, girl.
If you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain that, but I feel like there's so much realness to that.
You literally don't have to explain nothing else. Especially, I feel like, even generationally, to me, back then, and it's like, I know now that I'm headed towards being an official old head because I have enough memories where I'm like, it was different during my time.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the things when I try to explain to like the younger girls, if I'm like mentoring or teaching a rapping workshop, I'm like, y'all don't understand. It was a desert.
Right.
Like Kim was on hiatus. Not that Kim ever like really went on hiatus, but you know what I'm saying? She did go away for a little while. Like literally she had to go away. There was a time where it was no female, like, and it was still when they were doing that thing where it was like there only was one.
Yeah.
Right? And so even on the underground scene, you saw the same thing.
Look, I'm making a face like this because I'm already thinking of that one artist that... Right. But I guess that's for a whole nother conversation.
Hold up. There's like 3 different things that need to get said. Number 1, if you are watching, look, we're going to do a PSA. If you are watching this podcast right now and you bred it up, you know some, what is it, venture capitalists, angel investors, or you just love the culture and you bred it up and you like, wait, this should be longer than 30 minutes. DJ Kaykay47 has an entire story that we haven't heard yet. You need to hit me up. You need to invest so that we can expand this budget so that this could be an hour and a half interview because there's so much more to say. So where do you hit me? Go to CocoPeila.com and just go to the contacts tab and y'all can send me a message. If you'd like to invest, you should. But anyway, so that we can have someone like DJ Kaykay47 on for 2 hours because it's that much tea to spill. But back to what you were saying, I feel what you're saying because during that time, I remember the same exact experience. Like you would be in a room, it would be all boys and they would be gagged that you were actually there to do the same thing that they was doing. Like, oh, you rap? Well, you rap. That's why you're here, right? And so anyway, I understand what you're saying. Please finish what you're saying, and then I'll ask you one final question.
Well, thank you also once again, for having me and stuff, by the way. Yeah, I do feel like, feeling like I had to work twice as hard. And even to this day, still feeling like that, in the DJ field. Because it's like, mind you, when I did this program where I was like the only girl, I wasn't even learning how to DJ. I was learning how to rap. I was learning how to do Photoshop, which that's actually, I would say I learned my Photoshop skills more before like getting into DJing. We also learned political education. So we were learning a lot about community organizing because our slogan at the time was called build a community through the arts and hip hop as a tool of resistance.
And this was with Rebel DS?
Yeah. And so they taught me all the things, a lot of the things about politics that I didn't even know about. They even told me about the history of, Cedar Park, being the park where they did the jams at. I didn't know about the 1520 Cedric too much like that. like they really like showed me the way. Like they really took me under their wing. I was like their young sis, still am.
Yes.
You know, we all not part of a collective no more, but you know, we all still get down. They still see me as like, wow, like, you know, you sis for real.
Yes.
You know.
And the wild thing, let me tell you, this is why the culture is so just mind-boggling to me, is that when I was a teenager, around maybe like 19, maybe coming out of it into 20, I found out about Rebel Diaz because they came to the Bay Area and they performed at a function at La Peña Cultural Center in South Berkeley. And they came through, and every time you would say Rebel Diaz, I've never told you this, I see my young self looking up at the stage, and they was spitting, and it was a sister. I can't remember what her name was, who was up on the stage. And you know, for us too, we know what time it is on the West Coast. Some people are like, nah, stop doing that thing where y'all act like, you know, East Coast hip hop is. I'm like, no, I'm not. But like, you have to give respect where respect is due. So we always felt very like, whenever our family from out here, you know, would come, we would be like, oh, they're from the Mecca, you know? And so I remember seeing Rebel Diaz on stage. And so I think that is something, and just what the socio-political analysis that they offered. But when you're breaking down the program, right, and you're talking about political education, you're talking about the history, you're talking about Photoshop, all these different skills. This is part of why we have this podcast, because I want people to understand from the outside, from the music industry or the capitalist, like whatever version that people get to see about hip hop, it's so much richer than that. And what we get and what we learn, and also just like, what's the chances that you and I end up bumping into each other when I first moved to New York, and then you're from this collective that like I seen as a youngster too, coming up and being like, dang, they hella raw, they got this socio-political analysis, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just saying, like, our community is really powerful like that, and there's so many different layers to it besides just the big fancy music video, the glitz and glam, the Grammys. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the people and our connections in this web of like community is so intricate. And I don't know. I just wanted to say that. Kay, first of all, where can people find you if they want a dope DJ set? We didn't even get to talk about girls DJ too, which is like,
it's okay.
Girl. Okay, so we're going to have to do a part 2. But where can people find you if they want to book you? Because you're a dope DJ. I just got the honor of booking you for Altars for Our Inner Children a couple weekends ago. Where do they find you? How do they plug in?
Perfect. So if you like what I've been doing, because it's been, you know, to me more like easier. I've just been telling people like my Instagram. Yeah. I'm like, just go on my Instagram. Every link is there. But my Instagram is DJ Kaykay47. And so if you want to book me via email, my email is djkaykay47 at gmail.com. Thank you.
We're literally on the second out of 5 segments that have multiple questions under them. So we really gonna have to do this again. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people before we wrap up this episode?
I mean, I would just be like, stay tuned for the next one.
Yes!
Stay tuned for the next one.
Okay, and at the end of every episode, I always say, hip hop is a conversation. So what the fuck is you saying? What are you saying? What are you contributing to the cipher? You know, this is a call and a response. So what is you saying? What do you feel that like your presence in hip hop is communicating?
For me, and not even just in hip hop, but in general, I feel like that I am creating a safer space for folks to be themselves. As cliche as it sounds, I oftentimes get conversations around like folks based off like different identities. So if it's like based off of sex, gender, etc. I want folks to feel like when they go on my page that this is a safe space for folks who are trans, non-binary, gender expansive, women, men too, right? I'm like, I want everybody to feel like, wow, you come to this page, I want to feel loved. I want to feel like I'm seen. I want to feel appreciated. I still don't know what that looks like sometimes, even for myself, but like, I just think a lot about how I want to continue being my authentic self. And I'm pushing for others to do the same.
Yes.
And to be the same. And to just be themselves. Because I had to fight battles of folks trying to tell me who I am. And I'm like, wait a minute, not no more. Yes. Not no more.
Yep.
Like, only I could tell that story. And God.
That's it. That's a wrap. Yes. Yes. Well, so next time we might have to get into a little more of that story. Yes. Thank you so much for being with us and allowing us to like tap in with you, and for being a part of this history in the making, you know.